Hey folks, Eric from Another Voice with Jason and Eric, heard Mondays 1 to 2 on Spin FM 103.3 in Greenville, Greer, and Spartanburg, and also on canigetaWordin.com. And while you're searching the web, go to pdoutfitter.com for all your self-defense firearms needs, your emergency preparedness gear and survival gear, as well as concealed weapon training classes and combat-focused shooting. The company has a lifelong commitment to responsible gun ownership, so go to pdoutfitter.com. On Monday's show, we talked about saving grandma from the politicians, and we were referring to the Medicare scare that both sides have been doing since Paul Ryan joined the ticket for the Republican Party. You've got the excuse me, the claims from the left that Paul Ryan wants to take away Medicare from all the seniors, and the claims from the right that President Obama has stolen $716 billion from Medicare to fund Obamacare. So we looked at that on Monday. We briefly discussed it. And I just want to touch on a few things today. On Monday's show, we talked about what Obama in the Affordable Care Act actually did. And the claim is that he took $716 billion out of Medicare to pay for the Affordable Care Act. The fact of the matter is, no money was taken out of Medicare. The $716 billion is a reduction in the growth of Medicare over the next number of years. So nothing's come out of Medicare. It's what, instead of going up this level, it'll go up less than that. As well, it's also not from the beneficiaries. The money's coming from the providers, what the government pays to providers. Now, we were quick to point out that while this isn't a direct attack, it's not a direct affect the individuals who are on Medicare, it could be secondarily affect them if providers are getting less money in the future. They may decide, I don't want to take Medicare, and there'll be fewer choices for folks when that happens. So that is a possibility. So clearing up that situation, President Obama's not trying to steal from grandma. Now we turn to the Ryan plan. And of course, we talked about the fact that, first and foremost, no one that's 55 years of age or older is affected at all by the Ryan plan for Medicare. They will keep the same thing they have until they're gone. This only affects people 54 or younger. Remember, that's 10 years from now before this were ever to be put into place, if it were to be passed tomorrow. As I looked at the plan that Ryan had, it surprised me because all I had heard was vouchers, private insurance, old people in trouble. And as I looked at it, it was surprisingly similar to an aspect of the Affordable Care Act. What Ryan's plan does is set up a Medicare exchange where private insurers will bid every year on what it costs to care for a senior. And there'll be a range of bids, and Medicare will be in there. And instead of money going directly from the government to the providers, it'll go to the recipients, the people on Medicare, and they will use the subsidy to buy the insurance, whether it's private insurance or whether it's Medicare. Now, the amount of that subsidy is going to be based on the second lowest bid among all those bids. So it's not the lowest, which is good, but the second lowest, and often the Medicare will probably come in there. So it is not the same as we're just going to give it all private and there's not going to be any money. It's also indexed to inflation. So, and that was one thing I was concerned about. As inflation raises, is the subsidy going to stay the same so that the people on fixed incomes have a bigger and bigger gap to fill? That's not the case. Now, some of the drawbacks I see is, first of all, older folks who, in that time, not now, but after 2023, who on a fixed income might have to make a decision. If they pick the lowest bid, they'll get a rebate. And they might, on a fixed income, say, I don't have a whole lot of money. Let me pick that lower that lower bid, which could be less coverage. And because of the constraints of their fixed income, they might be getting not the same kind of coverage that they need because they still have to eat or pay their rent or their house payment or whatever it is they have to do. So that's a concern. Second concern is as if healthcare costs exceed inflation, if they go faster or higher, the subsidy is not going to change right away. There is a provision in the plan that if it does do a drastic move, that Congress will be responsible to come in and make a change. That's not hard and fast, and that's saying what's going to happen in the future. And the third thing is this is being sold as a way to save the federal government lots of money, to save us as taxpayers lots of money. And so far, it looks like it's only going to save 9%. Now, 9% is a good chunk, and we need to do something. But it's not the great savings that we heard. Those are some of my thoughts, some of my concerns about it. I'm not yet convinced that this is the answer, but I am convinced enough to look at it. And this is what I want to say to my friends on the left. Almost as an immediate response, when you hear someone talking about we've got to do something about Medicare, nope, don't touch it. You can't do anything about it. Leave it alone. Well, folks, that's dishonest. It's got to be fixed because we are going to have a problem with it in the future. Now, I know the thing, raise revenues. I agree. We need to raise revenues. My friends on the right don't necessarily agree with that, but we are at historically low revenues, tax revenues, because of the last 3, 4, 5 presidents, all these tax breaks and cuts, as well as in recession. So we do have to raise revenues. But raising revenues alone won't solve this. We do have to address it. And so what I say to my friends on the left, if you don't like this plan, if Ryan's plan, after you honestly evaluate it, is not the answer for you, show me your plan. And this is the problem I've had with my friends on the left. They haven't shown us a plan. My friends on the right, be willing to look at all the aspects. And what I say to everybody, take the time to examine what's out there honestly. Forget the hype. Grandma's not being attacked by either side. Look at the plans and figure out what you think is the best solution. All right, this has been another Voice with Jason and Eric, heard on Mondays 1 to 2 on Spin FM 103.3 in Greenville, Greer, and Spartanburg. And while you're out on the web looking for information about Medicare, go to smallknot.com/anothervoice. That's where we have our campaign to try to raise $1,500 by the end of this month to expand our presence online to be able to get more people to hear facts and perspective and community involvement. That's smallknot.com/anothervoice. Until next time, have a great week.